Thank you. I want to thank Jay and BureauPress for dragging me very far out of my wheelhouse. I'm a notoriously lazy writer, and most of the time I decide to blame that on my job, but I decided to make lemonade here. Every week I'm required to go look something up about a different celebrity, which usually makes me hate that celebrity. Because I don't have TV after the last few months, so I'm always learning new things. Usually bad ones, but this is sort of, I guess, inspired by that. This is called Tell All. Monday. When Dr. Sanjeet asked me to write this diary, he took pains not to call it a diary because it was made clear to me that he was going to be reading it, which seems kind of pervy to me when you get down to it. I mean, he, that would be you, Dr. Sanjeet, is what, 220 pounds, pushing 60, and twice divorced, and just reeks of Cinemax and TV dinners, and no matter how much I try to emphasize the shitty parts of living here at Casa del Weishart, the only parts where he seems to be awake are the parts about my girlfriend. In this journal, Dr. Sanjeet emphasized that I should just keep it light, not try to necessarily work my problems out. I live in my head a little bit too much anyway, he says, whatever that means. No, I should be instead just try to keep a record of what I'm seeing, what catches my interest day to day, write a poem if I feel like it, take myself out of it, set a scene. Okay. So here's the scene on Monday. Lillian is climbing out my window at 3 a.m. and it's a hell of a Kodak moment. Her jeans are riding down on her hips as she stretches out there, a little bit of ass crack peeking out, her black hair with a green streak falling back over those perfect butt dimples just over the tattoo. Love those things. We've just had some really awesome sex, the kind where I have to cover her mouth every once in a while so Mom doesn't hear, but she kind of likes it and bites my hand and laughs, and we get into it all over again. It's this big, vicious, sexy circle. It is the kind of sex where some considerable lower body strength is involved. Lots of bending over backwards and arching and whatever. The kind that makes you really glad you're not 220 pounds and probably impotent. Yeah, that's Monday, all right. Not much else remarkable about the day. I asked Dr. Sanjeet if I had to show him the journal every day, and he said, nope, once a week was fine. In a week, I will no longer be seeing Dr. Sanjeet, but I really wish I could be around to count the jowls when he reads this. He is a sad man, and I wish I could justify his profession with a little more pathos of my own, but what can I say? I'm an entertainer's kid. These things rub off, no matter what. Tuesday, interview with Us magazine. They want to know what it's like being the adopted spawn of Deanna Westhart, and it's the usual ratio of 90% what was it like growing up under the star of Me Time with Deanna, and a 10% roundup of the valuable lessons learned. No matter what he says, the reporter sounds like he's trying to set me up for the punchline to a dirty joke. These things are never an interview with me. They're a debriefing of the guy who got an exclusive 17-year interview with my mom. They are special features on disc 3 of a commemorative DVD set 15 years from now. Half of Deanna Westhart's Wikipedia page is the anecdotes I offer in place of real answers, all of which are nonetheless true. She has a special coffee cake she bakes only for me, the recipe of which she will never share on Friday's cooking segment. Chip the Chihuahua, mascot of Me Time, was originally bought for me, but we couldn't keep him in the house because of my python. I named Reagan after her role in a high school. I was named Reagan after her first role in a high school production of King Lear, not the president guy. Aha. So I recycle a few of those. Now that she's retired from the show, the reporter gets appropriately solemn for the last question. He points out that I'll be graduating college soon, and asks me if I think I've inherited any of my mother's drive to succeed. I tell him that it's funny he should ask, because just the other day, we were driving down the coast, and she was asking me about my plans after college. And I really had to think about that for a long while, because I still have, about 1 billion options, and really just wanted to pick the one at that time that would get her approval. Luckily, I didn't have to, because right then this guy came around the corner on a bicycle, and she knocked him off the road. I have just told the reporter guy the dirty joke he was waiting for, because there's a beat, and then he laughs like crazy. I laugh right back at him. I say, no, really, Off the cliff on the side of the road, actually. Head down about a mile or so north of Bixby Bridge. He's probably still lying down there all fucked up. Reporter guy looks down at his notes like there's a follow-up question there somewhere. Anyway, I say, we kept right on driving, and she told me I had to think about what was best for both of us, and believe me, I did. So to answer your question, yes, I really think I've inherited her drive to succeed. There's a pretty long pause after that, so I ask if he's got enough tape and he wants to stop there. He doesn't say he does, but he doesn't say no, so I jet out of there. Dr. Sanji can take a tip from this guy. A good interview is better than therapy sometimes, and is usually shorter. Wednesday. This won't be the last time I invoke some doc-patient confidentiality here, but I blew off school today. Maddox has this new surf shop up on Long Beach that's doomed to fail. There's no parking, and he's right across from the soup kitchen, but the grand opening is this afternoon. The upstairs patio has a keg and a view, and we're determined to get at least one good party out of it, or at least Blake is. It's Maddox and Blake and Theo and Lillian and me, basically the core of the missing children, as Theo likes to put it. Except for Lil, we're all adopted. I keep telling Dr. Sanjay what a weird thing this is to have in common, since we all wear it so differently. Maddox is from Cambodia, and Theo's black, but their parents are so none of the above, so they tend to wear it like this tattoo they can flash or cover up, depending. Blake's white, and for some reason he's the most insecure about the adoption thing. I'm Afghani, which Mom doesn't even know that I know. You can't adopt from there, basically, so she tells everyone I'm from Turkey. Lillian knows, which is why we're dating. Her dad's a senator, and fucking a terrorist is about the worst thing she can do to him. Blake and Theo are leaned over the railing trying to get girls to take their tops off in exchange for some t-shirts. Maddox would normally be filming this, but he's always had a crush on the mill, so he hangs back, pumping the keg too much and talking about expanding into the building next door. Lil is bored, but she's always bored. My phone rings again, and it's Mom, so I turn it off. I ask Lil if I can stay over, and she shrugs. After a while, Theo stops using the shirts as Mardi Gras beads, and he's doing a little puppet show with one of the green ones. Blake is laughing his ass off, and the girls are cheering for more downstairs. It is the worst version I have ever heard of the Rainbow Connection, and I tell him so. Kermit is full of shit anyway, I say. There are not a lot of songs about rainbows. Maddox says, there are a ton of songs. Name some, I say. Give me one fucking song about a rainbow. Rainbow in the dark, he says. I have decided that I hate my friends. Thursday. There are a ton of calls on my phone from Mom, and even more from the reporter guy. So this would be the day they finally found the dead guy. This sucks, because I really would have liked to hang out with Lil for one more night. This morning, she sleeps in later than usual. I let her tuck her in a little bit. She has this sucked-in cheek thing that only goes away when she's sleeping, so I sit there for a while and watch her. Afterward, I head down to the Belmont, and of course they're playing an old rerun of Me Time with Deanna. It's the one where she has this little kid from Missouri on the show, a 9-year-old kid who went around mowing the lawn and planting roses in front of crack houses in her neighborhood. She had a website up with all the crack house makeover pictures, and was using it to sort of audition for her own TLC show. She did a lot of nodding and smiling. Deanna was asking her what the crackheads thought of all this. She said they didn't seem to mind. The crowd laughed, and Mom gave the kid a side hug. She said, well, really, this is such an American story, isn't it? You can still be anything you want in this country. Friday. Slept on the beach last night. I still have this thing about the beach, from back when Maddox and I used to sit out here and pretend to surf. This was when Mom had me going to every church, mosque, synagogue, ashram, and ley line in town. Find your truth, she'd say. I was 14 years old. The truth was that the public school kids were selling drugs and date raping away, and I had absolutely jack shit to say in the confession booth. One seat for heaven, please, nothing to declare, just to carry on. Sometimes I would make things up, and it would fill the time faster. Sometimes I still do it in my sessions with Dr. Sanji out of habit. It's a hard one to break, and I'm really starting to think I might follow Mom into acting. I always liked the silence on the beach. Always gave Maddox crap during that spiritual surfer phase, but it's true. Here you just confess away, and it sounds so much bigger in the open air. notes. I let her do it to me. I drove the car. These things just float out to sea, and the people passing by assume you're rehearsing for a role. I'm looking out there across the ocean now. Somewhere on the other side of the earth is a kid who's just getting to bed, maybe after a tough day picking poppy seeds or whatever. Maybe he's cleaning his gun or saying his prayers, facing west. Maybe he's just some kid. Pretty soon I'll have to leave here and shake the dust out of my shoes. I'll have to buy a new pair, most likely. Probably a whole new suit. I'll head on over to Mom's, and there will be cameras, a million of them, lights flashing right back at me. This time, I'll stare right back. Thank you.